My father is the most prolific serial killer in America. If anyone ever comes asking questions, you tell them I'm a mechanic, got it? I was 9 when my dad said that, holding a wrench in one hand, a half-finished peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the other. We were in the garage of our house in Springfield, Illinois. 3rd house in 4 years, I nodded, thinking that's what every dad tells their kid. Like how some dads tell their kids not to talk to strangers, mine told me to lie about his profession. It seemed normal at the time. I thought my childhood was weird in the way all kids think theirs is weird. Like how we had blackout curtains on every window, even in the garage. Heavy dark blue ones that my mom installed herself with a drill and metal brackets. Or how I wasn't allowed to answer the door even if it was my grandma. "Let it ring," Dad would say calmly, not even looking up from his newspaper. "If it's important, they'll come back." Or how we moved constantly. 6 schools in 8 years. Always new names on the mailbox. Peterson, Richardson, Coleman, Hayes, Morrison, Barrett. My mom would call it starting fresh, but her hands would shake every time she packed a suitcase. She'd fold clothes with trembling fingers, tears streaming down her face that she'd wipe away quickly if she thought I was watching. When I was 10, I found a duffel bag in the attic of our house in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'd been looking for Christmas decorations because Mom had asked me to bring down the box of ornaments. Instead, I found a black Nike duffel bag shoved behind insulation. It had 4 driver's licenses in it, tucked into a leather wallet, all with my dad's face, all with different names. Robert Chen, Marcus DeWitt, William Stafford, James Novak. Different addresses, different birth dates, but the same gray eyes staring back at me from each one. I asked him about it once, nervously, during dinner. "Meatloaf night." He laughed and ruffled my hair. "Ever hear of identity theft, buddy? I help people recover from it. I work with law enforcement sometimes. Gotta study the enemy, you know how they operate." He said it so casually, like he was explaining how a carburetor worked, and somehow I believed him. I wanted to believe him, but there were moments, the kind of little glitches in the narrative that your brain tries to smooth over but can't quite manage. Like how every house we lived in had a padlocked basement. Always the same kind of lock, too. A heavy master lock with a thick brass body. Storage for dangerous chemicals, Dad would explain. Cleaning supplies, paint thinners. Don't want you getting hurt. Or how my dad would disappear for days, sometimes 3, sometimes 5, and come back with scratches on his arms and mud on his boots, even in summer, even when it hadn't rained in weeks. "Business trip," Mom would say when I asked where he'd gone. "Your father works very hard for this family." I remember once during a thunderstorm in our house in Duluth, Minnesota, I crept into his office because I was scared of the lightning. I was 11. He wasn't there, but the screen on his computer was glowing in the darkness, casting blue light across his desk. It was a map. Google Maps zoomed out to show the entire state. Dozens of pins dropped all over. Red ones, yellow ones, some blue. Each one marked with a date. Underneath, there was a spreadsheet. I remember the columns clearly. Name, age, gender, location, date, status. At the top of the spreadsheet, in bold letters, cleansed. I counted 23 rows. 23 names. Most of the status columns said complete. 3 said in progress. I told myself it was part of his identity theft work. That it was tracking victims or criminals or something legitimate. That it wasn't what it looked like. But my hands were shaking when I left his office. I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't ignore the headlines anymore either. They were everywhere. In every town we lived in every newspaper Mom brought home. Body of missing woman found near river. Sarah Mitchell, 34, last seen leaving work. Teen boy vanishes on way home from football practice. Marcus Johnson, 16, described as responsible and cautious. Community shaken by 3rd disappearance in 6 months. Police baffled. And every time we'd move, the pattern would repeat. New town, new rules, same silence. New schools where I'd be the quiet kid who didn't make friends because what was the point? We'd be gone in 6 months anyway. I started keeping my own notes when I was 13. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to know. Needed to understand. I'd clip newspaper articles about missing people from whatever town we were in. I'd note the dates Dad disappeared. I'd mark them on a calendar I kept hidden under my mattress. The correlation was impossible to ignore. Springfield. Dad gone March 15th, 18. Jennifer Hayes, 29. Disappeared March 16th, Cedar Rapids. Dad gone July 22nd, 24. Timothy Bronson, 41 disappeared July 23rd, Duluth. Dad gone October 3 to 7, Maria Gonzalez. 19 disappeared October 5th. The list grew longer. My hands grew shakier. My sleep grew worse. I started having nightmares when I was 14. Always the same one. I'm in a basement and there are people there chained to pipes, crying, begging me to help them. And my dad is standing in the corner smiling at me, holding a wrench. "You're good with your hands, son," he says. "Just like your old man." I'd wake up screaming and Mom would rush in, pale and terrified, pressing her fingers to her lips. "Shh, James, shh. You'll wake your father." As if that was the worst thing that could happen. By 15, I was barely speaking to either of them. I'd eat dinner in silence, do my homework, lock my bedroom door at night. I started sleeping with a chair wedged under the doorknob. Just in case, Dad noticed. Of course he noticed. "You're getting distant, buddy," he said one Saturday morning while we were washing his truck. A Ford F-150, dark blue, always meticulously clean. "Everything okay at school?" "Girls, bullies?" "I'm fine," I muttered, scrubbing the tire wells harder than necessary. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" "I'm your dad. I'm here for you." The worst part was he sounded sincere. He sounded like every other concerned father in America. Like he actually gave a damn. I finally cracked at 16. We were living in Montana then, in a town called Whitehall. Population 138, middle of nowhere. Mountains on every side, one main street, a gas station that closed at 8. The perfect place to disappear. I snuck into the basement one night while my parents were asleep. It was 2:47 a.m. I remember because I checked my phone obsessively, terrified they'd wake up. The padlock was open. Dad had been down there earlier and forgotten to lock it. Or maybe he'd grown complacent after all these years. Either way, it was my only chance. I pushed the door open slowly. It creaked. The stairs were wooden, old, and each one groaned under my weight. I used my phone's flashlight. The basement smelled like bleach and something else. Something copper and wrong. There were shelves down there. Industrial metal shelving units, the kind you'd see in a warehouse. Labeled boxes. Ziploc bags arranged by date, trophies, hair ties. Pink ones, purple ones, some with cartoon characters. Little girl hair ties, wallets, driver's licenses still inside. Sarah Mitchell, Timothy Bronson, Maria Gonzalez. All the names from my calendar, children's drawings. Crayon pictures of houses and families and sunshine. To Mommy, love Emma, written in crooked letters. Wedding rings. Gold ones, silver ones, some with diamonds still glittering under my flashlight. Jewelry. Necklaces, bracelets, earrings. One silver locket with a photo inside. A young woman holding a baby. I counted 23 boxes. 23 people. Maybe more. I vomited on the floor. My body just gave out and I threw up everything in my stomach, heaving and gasping, tears streaming down my face. The smell of bleach mixed with vomit made me retch again. I don't know how long I stood there shaking, staring at those boxes. Minutes, hours. Time stopped meaning anything. When I finally made it back upstairs, Mom was standing in the kitchen. Just standing there in her nightgown, arms crossed, staring at nothing. She knew I'd been down there. "She knew, Mom," I whispered. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. "Mom, what is he?" When I confronted her, she slapped me. Hard. Across the face with enough force to snap my head sideways. Not out of anger. I'd seen her angry before. This was pure terror. Her eyes were wild, desperate. "You don't understand, James," she whispered, grabbing my shoulders, her nails digging into my skin. "He only hurts the ones he thinks deserve it. The bad ones. The people who've done terrible things. He's cleaning up the world. He's making it safer." I couldn't breathe. My heart was a jackhammer in my chest, pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. "What are you talking about? Those were innocent people. There were children's drawings down there." "No," she shook her head frantically. "No, you don't know the whole story. That woman, Sarah Mitchell, she was embezzling from her company, stealing from families. Timothy Bronson was dealing drugs to teenagers. Maria Gonzalez, stop!" I shoved her away. "Just stop! You're insane! You're both insane!" She started crying, great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. "He's not a monster, James. He's broken, but he's trying to help. Monsters and broken people can look the same in the dark, but your father, he has reasons. He has a code." "A code?" I laughed and it came out hysterical. "A code? Mom, there are 23 people dead. 23 families destroyed. What fucking code justifies that?" She slapped me again. Don't you dare use that language. And you keep your voice down. If you wake him... She stopped, eyes widening with a fear I'd never seen before. That's when I knew. She wasn't just complicit. She was terrified of him too. She'd been trapped just like those people in the basement, except her chains were invisible. That night, I ran away. I packed a backpack with clothes, the cash I'd been saving from my part-time job at the grocery store, $3.47, and my phone. I left at 4 in the morning, walking 12 miles to the nearest bus station in Boulder. Bought a ticket to Seattle with cash, used a fake name, David Morrison. I took a bus to a city I'd never lived in. Slept in shelters, used fake names, learned how to be invisible the same way Dad had taught me. I moved between Seattle, Portland, and Spokane. I worked under-the-table jobs, dishwashing, construction, anything that paid cash. I couldn't call the cops. Not without evidence, not without becoming part of the story. I was scared they'd think I helped him. I was scared he'd find me before they did. I was scared they wouldn't believe me. I was scared they would. For 2 years, I lived like a ghost. I changed my appearance, dyed my hair, grew a beard, wore glasses I didn't need. I checked over my shoulder constantly. I never stayed in one place longer than 3 months. I learned to trust no one. I was 18 and working at a diner in Tacoma when I saw his face on the news. It was a cold January morning, rain hammering against the windows. The TV above the counter was on CNN. Unidentified remains found in remote forest cabin linked to suspected serial killer. Authorities have discovered what they're calling one of the most extensive trophy collections in modern criminal history. My hand started shaking so badly I dropped the coffee pot I was holding. It shattered on the floor, hot coffee everywhere, but I couldn't move. I just stood there staring at the screen. They showed aerial footage of a cabin in the Montana wilderness. Police tape. Forensic teams in white suits. Body bags being carried out. So many body bags. The suspect is believed to have died by suicide before authorities could apprehend him. No identification has been confirmed. The individual had 17 different IDs when they searched the property. No dental records, no fingerprints on file. The investigation is ongoing. 17 IDs. I'd only found 4. The bodies, 23 confirmed, with investigators believing there may be more, were found in various stages of decomposition. Some dating back over 15 years, 23 confirmed. The same number as the boxes in the basement. The same number on his spreadsheet. The news anchor's voice continued, but I couldn't hear it anymore. Everything sounded like I was underwater. To this day, they don't know who he really was. The FBI put together a profile, interviewed people in towns where bodies were found, but nobody remembered a suspicious man. Nobody remembered my family. We'd been too careful, too invisible. The fake names, the constant moving, the isolation, it had all worked exactly as he'd planned. I never told the police who he was. I still haven't. I thought about it 1,000 times. Picked up the phone, dialed the FBI tip line, hung up before anyone answered. What would I even say? My name is James Barrett, except it's not, and my father killed 23 people, maybe more, and my mother helped him cover it up? They'd want to know why I didn't come forward sooner. Why I ran instead of going to the police. Why I have 17 years of memories that could help identify victims, provide closure to families, and I've kept silent. The truth is, I'm a coward. I'm terrified that if I come forward, I'll spend the rest of my life being the serial killer's son. I'll be investigated, interrogated, suspected. My DNA is in that cabin. My fingerprints are in all those houses we lived in. I'm sure there are photographs of me somewhere in his collection. Evidence that I existed, that I was part of that family. What if they think I knew? What if they think I helped? I was there for 17 years. 17 years of moves and lies and silence. What if they don't believe I was just a kid who didn't understand? I live a quiet life now under a different name. Michael Torres. It's the 5th name I've used since I left. I work at an auto repair shop in Portland, Oregon. The irony isn't lost on me. I actually did become a mechanic, just like Dad told me to say. I rent a studio apartment in a building with good locks and security cameras. I don't date. I tried once with a woman named Sophie who worked at the coffee shop next door. Sweet girl, pretty smile, asked me out 3 times before I said yes. We went on 2 dates. On the second one, she asked about my family. Are you close with your parents? I made an excuse about feeling sick and left. Blocked her number. Quit going to that coffee shop. I don't make friends. I don't let people get close. I check my locks 3 times before bed. Front door, deadbolt, chain. 3 times. Every night. I sleep with a baseball bat next to my bed and my phone charging on the nightstand. 911 already typed in, just in case. In case of what? I don't know. He's dead. I saw the news. I read every article, watched every update. They found his body in the cabin with a gunshot wound to the head, self-inflicted, his own hunting rifle. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if he really is dead. He was so good at disappearing, at becoming someone else. What if it was staged? What if he's out there somewhere living under ID number 18 watching me? I have nightmares about it. Different ones than when I was a kid. Now I dream that I'm walking down a street and I see him across the road. He's wearing different clothes, has a different haircut, but I know it's him, and he sees me, and he smiles. And I wake up screaming, because here's the thing, and I think this is why I'm writing this, why I'm confessing this to strangers on the internet under yet another fake name. Sometimes I miss him. I miss the man who taught me how to change a tire on a Sunday afternoon, his hands patient and steady as he showed me how to work the jack. I miss the man who made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs on Saturday mornings using chocolate chips for eyes. I miss the man who let me ride on his shoulders at the county fair when I was 7, who won me a stuffed bear at the ring toss, who bought me cotton candy and didn't care when I got it all over his shirt. I miss the man who helped me with my math homework, who taught me to throw a baseball, who sat with me when I had the flu and read me comic books in funny voices until I laughed. That man, he was real too. And that's what messes me up the most. Because if he was only a monster, maybe it'd be easier. Maybe I could hate him cleanly, completely. Maybe I could move on, but he wasn't just a monster. He was my dad. He tucked me in at night and checked for monsters under my bed. The irony is suffocating. He was the monster, and he was checking for himself. He taught me to ride a bike, running beside me with his hand on the seat, promising he wouldn't let go. I got you, buddy. I won't let you fall. And he didn't. Not that day. He came to my school plays, sat in the back row, clapped louder than anyone when I walked on stage. He was there for my 10th birthday party, helping me blow out candles on a Superman cake, smiling in photos that I burned after I ran away. How can someone be 2 people at once? How can the same hands that made dinosaur pancakes also strangle the life out of 23 people? How can the same voice that read me bedtime stories also lie to police, to neighbors, to me? I've thought about this every day for the last 8 years. Therapists would probably say I need counseling, but I can't see a therapist. Can't risk them reporting me. Can't risk having this conversation with someone who might have a legal obligation to share it. So I write it here, on Reddit under a throwaway account, on a Tuesday night at 11:47 p.m., sitting in my apartment with all 3 locks secured, hoping that maybe putting it into words will make it weigh less. It doesn't. I still don't know which part of him raised me. The mechanic or the killer. The father or the monster. And I'm terrified that one day I'll look in the mirror and see him staring back. That I'll have his hands, his eyes, his capacity for violence hidden beneath a normal surface. I don't trust myself. I don't trust my anger. When I get frustrated, I immediately shut down, afraid of what I might do if I let myself feel it fully. When I'm attracted to someone, I run, because what if I inherited more than his gray eyes? What if whatever was broken in him is broken in me too? They say violence can be genetic. They say trauma rewires your brain. They say children of killers often become killers themselves. I don't know if any of that is true, but I think about it constantly. I'm 26 now. The same age he was when he killed his first victim, according to the FBI timeline they released. They traced his earliest confirmed kill to 1989. He was 26. I just turned 26 last month. I spent the entire day locked in my apartment, terrified, watching myself, waiting to see if something would change, if some switch would flip and I'd suddenly understand why he did what he did. Nothing happened. I just got older, but the fear remains. My mom is still out there somewhere. She was never charged with anything. The FBI questioned her, but she claimed ignorance. Said she had no idea what he was doing, that she was a victim too. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know if I believe her explanation that night in the kitchen, her desperate rationalization that he only killed bad people. But I also don't know if she had a choice. Maybe she was trapped. Maybe she was complicit. Maybe both things are true. I think about calling her sometimes. I have her new number. I found it online, did some searching I'm not proud of. She's living in Florida now, under her maiden name, Carol Winters. She works at a library. Lives in a small apartment, alone. Does she miss him? Does she have nightmares? Does she wonder where I am? I'll never call. I'll never reach out. Because I don't know which version of her would answer the phone. The mother who made me lunch for school, or the woman who slapped me for discovering the truth. Sometimes I wonder if I should have gone to the police 8 years ago. If I could have saved someone. The FBI timeline suggests he was still active when I ran away. His last confirmed victim was found 6 months after I left. A man named Robert Chen, 45, found in a ravine outside of Boulder, Montana. Robert Chen. One of the names on those fake IDs I found when I was 10. He killed someone and took their identity, used their name, their life, their face. How many of those 17 IDs were from people he murdered? How many bodies are still undiscovered because everyone thinks those people just moved away, started fresh like we always did? These are the questions that keep me awake at night. These are the thoughts that make me check my locks 3 times, that make me keep a baseball bat next to my bed, that make me live like a ghost in a city where nobody knows my real name. Because I'm not Michael Torres. I'm not David Morrison. I'm not any of the names I've used. I'm James Barrett. Or maybe James Peterson. Or Richardson, or Coleman, or Hayes, or any of the other names we used. I don't even know which name is on my real birth certificate. I don't know if I was born in a hospital or at home. I don't know if the social security number I memorized as a kid is actually mine or someone else's. I don't know who I am, and that might be the worst part of all of this. He didn't just take 23 lives. He took mine too. He took my identity, my past, my ability to trust, to love, to be normal. He took my childhood and replaced it with nightmares. He took my future and filled it with fear. The man who made dinosaur pancakes destroyed my life just as thoroughly as he destroyed those 23 others. The difference is I'm still breathing, still hiding, still checking locks, still his son, and I don't know if I'll ever be anything else. Thanks for watching, everyone. You guys are the reason we keep doing this every single day. Your comments, your likes, your crazy stories, and we see them all and we love you for it. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our growing family here at Reddit Daily Dose. We drop new stories every day. The wild, the emotional, the creepy, and the ones that hit right in the heart. Stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next story.